Hey everyone, Andy from Singletrack magazine here, and today we're going to talk about the brand new Bird Aether 9C. Now, Bird have been teasing this bike on Instagram for a few weeks or maybe even a few months now, but today we can finally officially see it and talk about it. The Aether 9C is Bird's latest playful do-it-all trail bike, but it's their first carbon fiber bike. So what Bird have been able to do with this bike, because it's made of carbon fiber, is they've been able to really play around with the style, the shapes and the tubing, so they can do things that perhaps they weren't able to do with their alloy bikes before. Now, the Aether 9C is part of the Aether range, obviously, and those bikes are playful, poppy and short travel, but the 9 in the name refers to the larger 29-inch wheels. On the rear, the 9C has 130mm of travel, and that is via a rear shock of 210 by 55. Now, if you look at the frame price, it's £1,700. It doesn't include the rear shock, so do keep that in mind if you're thinking of buying one. Ensure that either you have a 210 by 55 shock, or you factor in the extra 160 odd pounds for a basic RockShox rear shock on there. The fork on this can either be a 130, 140, 150, or basically anything between 130 and 150mm of travel. And the bike itself has really interesting geometry. So while it is a short travel, playful and poppy bike, according to Bird, looking at the geometry numbers, we're pretty certain that it's going to be really stable at speed and able to rail around corners as well. Now, the headline number here is 541. And that is the longest reach of the 4 bikes in the range. Now, I don't know for sure, I'm gonna have to start a cool wall of reach, but 541mm of reach is a lot. It's probably one of the bikes with the longest reach of all that are available at this time. I'm sure someone will go in the comments in a moment and tell me that I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, 541 is the longest. Obviously, that is for the extra large frame. There are 4 sizes in the range. There's a medium with a 455mm reach. There's a medium long, which has a reach of 484mm. There's a large with a 512mm reach, and then the extra large with a 541mm reach. But like I keep saying, you shouldn't judge a bike by its reach alone. You should also look at its seat tube angle, the effective top tube length, and also the head tube angle of the bike too. So each of these bikes in the Aether range have actually been designed with their own seat tube angle. So on the smallest bike, on the medium sized bike, the seat tube angle is 76.5, and then it increases, it gets steeper to 78 degrees on the largest bike, so which is a really smart way of doing things for Bird. What doesn't change on those bikes though is the chainstay length. It's 430mm across the range, which is pretty short for a 29er, and the head tube angle, which is 65 degrees. So although it does have a long reach, it does have some really clever geometry choices to ensure that it's not going to feel overly long in the corners. Now, one thing that is still quite big though is the effective top tube length. For example, that medium long bike with a 484mm reach actually has an effective top tube of 630. And if you compare that to other bikes that have been released recently, that is actually a little bit longer than some bikes, despite the reach being a little bit shorter. Yeah, I know it sounds a bit confusing, but go back and look at a few new bike releases and check out the different geometries, and you'll see that the Bird has a longer effective top tube length. Now, this kind of lines up to what kind of bike it is. It isn't an all-out enduro bike. It's the type of bike that you can do everything on it. You can go on long rides on it, you can eat those miles, but you can also take it to the bike park. So yeah, I've not ridden this bike, but looking at the numbers, it looks as though when you're in a seated position, you're going to have a little bit more room than some of these new school geometry enduro bikes. It's going to feel a little bit racier, a little bit more stretched out and comfortable. But when you drop the saddle, it's still going to have a decent size reach and decent wheelbase, so you'll be able to rail the corners and be able to really keep stability at speed. I think the wheelbase on the medium long bike is around 1235mm, which is pretty long but not massive, so it should go around corners really well. Now, each of the carbon frames in the Aether 9C range will accommodate a full-size 750 milliliter bottle. That's even on the smallest medium frame, and that's even if you decide to use a shock with a piggyback on it too. So those carbon tubes have been able to let Bird angle everything out of the way so you can still run a big bottle cage in there. And Bird actually say this has the best bottle clearance of all the Bird bikes in the range to date. Other cool features include a threaded bottom bracket. They have rubber protection on the chainstay and on the down tube, and there are also ICG mounts so you can put a chain device right on the frame too. There are 2 colors available. There's a green, oh no, there actually might be 3 colors available. It's not clear in the press information, but there are photos of a green bike, a gloss black bike, and there's also a raw finished bike, so a carbon fiber bike that has been lacquered. So there might be actually 3 choices. You can choose to buy the bike by itself for £1,700, sorry, the frame for £1,700, or with a shock for $1,860. Full bike started around £3,460 with a SRAM GX 12-speed Eagle group set and a Pike Ultimate fork, which is pretty decent. Or if you prefer Shimano, you can go for a Shimano Dior 12-speed bike for around £3,700 and something pounds. Obviously, we've not been able to test it yet, it's just come out, but we have put a request in for one, so keep your eyes peeled. We should, or hopefully, fingers crossed, get the Bird Aether 9C in for a full review, so keep your eyes peeled. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments section below, and I'll try and do more launch videos like this. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing here at Singletrack, make sure you subscribe and also hit the bell button, so every time we upload a new video, you will be notified. And what I'll do now is I'll leave you with a few more pictures of the Aether 9C, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.